I think Christian Pulisic will be the driving force behind this Chelsea team, and I think he could be really influential. Hello and welcome back to the Premier League preview on my channel. If you do enjoy what you see around here, be sure to like and subscribe. We've got Premier League previews, 2 Minute Tuesdays coming at least twice a week, and like this week and the last week, 3 times a week. So be sure to stick around for those. This week we are looking at Premier League. It is a normal week for fixtures in the sense that they're at the weekend. Without further ado, there has been lots of changes. Obviously the sacking of Frank Lampard has happened since my last Premier League preview, and Manchester United lost to Sheffield United, and so some big games which has seen Manchester City sit top of the table. But without getting too distracted by the previous game week's fixtures, we'll have a look at this week's fixtures, maybe pick out a few for you guys to watch, and let's have a look as well at the players to watch for this week. So we have all 20 teams playing this weekend, and some of the pick of the games are Arsenal, who take on Manchester United on Saturday. That is the reverse fixture of course, last time Arsenal came out on top earlier on in the season, which almost started the beginning of their poor form. So Arsenal fans will be hoping that this doesn't bring an end to their good form this time around. And another game to really watch is Leicester, who take on Leeds, two teams that aren't afraid to score goals. That is on Sunday. Like I said, two teams that aren't afraid to score goals and really aren't afraid to grab a game by the throat, and it should be a really interesting watch. The final 3 games which I've picked to sort of briefly talk about: Chelsea versus Burnley. Burnley come into this off the back of a thrilling 3-2 win over Aston Villa, and Chelsea, of course, their first full week with Thomas Tuchel. They had a disappointing 0-0 draw in the first game of the Tuchel era, and it'll be interesting to see who they line up with and what team they go with against the Burnley side that we know is very defensively strong and apparently can score goals as well. But without further ado, we will take a look at this week's players to watch. So the first player to watch I have chosen is a Chelsea player. I thought it was too hard not to come up with a Chelsea player, and that player is Christian Pulisic. A standout player in the Frank Lampard era, Christian Pulisic has been really, really fantastic in the last few seasons since he's joined Chelsea, showing the real potential he has. He got a great assist against Liverpool at the back end of last season, and he was unlucky getting injured in the FA Cup final. We haven't really seen that great form which he showed towards the back end of last season under Lampard at the beginning of this year, but under Thomas Tuchel that may change. He's played, I believe it was 50 games he's played under Thomas Tuchel at Borussia Dortmund. He was the guy who got him there, and that could be really important for the success of Christian Pulisic at Chelsea. A manager who knows him well, and he's already got an in with the manager, which is always helpful. We saw against Wolves that Thomas Tuchel went for experience, and I think that was possibly the best idea to go with. He only had 1 training session with them. He doesn't know what his team is going to be. I think it is a big period for many. Callum Hudson-Odoi looked really good. But against Burnley, I think Christian Pulisic will be the driving force behind this Chelsea team, and I think he could be really influential, provided that he manages to stay fit and that he manages to keep the form which we know he can produce. Then he could be a sensational player for Thomas Tuchel and of course Chelsea. The next player I've chosen to watch this week is Phil Foden. He has been a player that I've been really excited to watch in recent times, and I just think he's going to keep on developing into that David Silva role that we were so familiar to seeing in a Manchester City shirt. Kevin De Bruyne is now out injured, and as we all know that I love Kevin De Bruyne, and I think the natural replacement for him at this current moment in time is Phil Foden. It's been really, really good to watch, and Manchester City look like they're growing in confidence. With teams around them dropping points, they've started to really kick on. Against Sheffield United though, after they've just beaten Manchester United, they will also be brimming with confidence, and I think a player as technically sound and really good on the ball as Phil Foden could really impact the success really of this Manchester City team. Phil Foden has it all really. Yes, they might be short of a striker or two, Manchester City, but I think the creativity of those attacking players, which they still have, Bernardo Silva, Riyad Mahrez and Phil Foden, will really come into fruition in this game. And I think there'll be too much for Sheffield United. The final player I'm going to choose to watch this week is Thomas Tuchel. At the time of recording, Liverpool haven't played Spurs, so I do not know what is going to happen in that game. Liverpool might walk all over Spurs, or Spurs might walk all over Liverpool, which is even more reason to watch Thomas Tuchel in this game. So West Ham, as I just said, play Liverpool, and Thomas Tuchel has really been a surprise package for me since his move to West Ham. Thomas Tuchel has been a real surprise package, full of goals as well, which I didn't expect from, you know, a big central defensive midfielder. Scores a lot of goals for West Ham and is turned into a vital player. I think he could dominate this midfield against Liverpool, provided that it's still the same midfield we've seen in recent weeks. Obviously, I don't know who they're going to play against Spurs, but provided they've still got the likes of Milner and players who aren't maybe as mobile and as strong as Souček, I think we could see a really strong defensive performance and attacking performance from West Ham. Jarrod Bowen always looks a threat. Michail Antonio always looks good, but then a minute later looks kind of off the pace. It's a weird one, Michail Antonio. But Souček for me has been a real standout player for West Ham this season, come up with vital goals when needed. I think he's another player to watch. I hate to pick players who just because they've scored goals, but I think for central defensive midfielders, you don't expect them to get goals, and someone getting on the score sheet as frequently as Thomas Souček cannot go amiss, and that is the reason I've chosen him. Well, that concludes this week's Premier League preview. If you have enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe. Like I say, those three players are the players that I would be watching this weekend. I've actually put Phil Foden in my fantasy football team because I think he could have a really, really good weekend against Sheffield United. So if you want to do that, then by all means, but that's up to you. My triple captain prediction didn't go very well. So yeah, well, never mind. Moving swiftly on. So I will see you on my next video. Cheers.